Welcome back to Colors Are a Crutch.
My God.
My name is...
Keep going.
My name is Wounded Satellite.
Stop singing. Don't do that.
Also
Don't
known
ever
as
do that
Max
again.
Sternberg. And I'm joined by my glorious co-host, Max P, the Italian man. You didn't like that?
That was atrocious, dude.
You didn't think that was beautiful?
No. It
Okay.
was awful.
Well, thanks you guys for coming back and listening to our show.
I'm sorry. I just want to apologize
I
for
don't
everybody.
apologize.
Like, I know you had to put up with that and like suffer through that, like I did. And I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. My coach sometimes he drinks a little bit sometimes and like
the fuck
maybe
outta
he's
here.
just drunk
I
right now.
actively don't drink.
Okay.
Except when I'm with Ian and Waffle, then I drink. I did Jaeger bombs before the finals day again. But yeah, welcome back to our show. Thank you so much for listening. I won't say apologies for that. I'll just say you're welcome. And today is going to be a cool day. I'm a little tired because I had to get up early, but we're ready to fucking go. We're rearing to go. We're so prepared. And today we're going to talk about Vegas, which was awesome. Had a great time in Vegas. We're going to talk about the new MH3 meta and the adjustments and changes we're already seeing as a result of these cards we've talked about over the last few weeks. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Wounded Satellite. If you're interested in CEDH coaching, I offer that. You can contact me on Discord or Twitter to do that. If you enjoy our show, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to support us even more, we have an awesome Patreon you can find in the description below. And if you just want to join the conversation outside of YouTube, you can join our Discord with a link to that also in the description below. What's new with you, Max? How has your weekend been?
That was a little touch and go, dude. Honestly, my mother got pretty sick last week, so she's been in the hospital, but she's on the mend, recovering, and things are getting better. So she should be good to go in the next couple days and go home. Hopefully. So
I'm glad she's okay.
But yeah, other than that, I'm doing all right. Got to watch some of the Top Deck Titans tournament and the crazy top four that we'll talk about in a little bit. Just
Nadu.
Nadu, all over the place. Yeah, we predicted the bird would be a good deck, and it's already proven itself in weekend one.
I mean, it proved itself in one tournament and then flopped in every other tournament. So it's up for debate, right?
Yeah, I mean, so what were the tournaments this weekend? There were only three of them.
There's
Top Deck Titans, which was 66 people. There was Vegas, Star City Games Vegas, which was like 130, 120 something.
122. I believe.
Yeah, 122, and then the other one was down at Charlie's Collectible. They had a 10K,
which I guess they had zero Nadus in the field down there, so it was really just Vegas and Top Deck for Nadu information.
Yeah, and they had 142 people there. But I mean, the first weekend, usually what ends up happening is people aren't even sure that the cards are legal yet because it's still pre-release, right? It's not even the official release of the set yet. So it usually takes a week for everyone to sort of adjust and start playing the cards.
I mean, I had an MH3 card in my deck, and it was the first change I've made to Kinnan in like 7 months.
It was sinking the stupor, right?
Yes.
That's the only card you put in so far?
Yes.
Interesting. I think there'll be more.
I mean, I know you think I'm going to add Strict Serenade, which I'm not.
You will.
But
you will.
100%. Add Strict Serenade. There's no way.
100%. You're going to add it. I guarantee it.
It is in Italian already, for sure. 100%. But yes, it is not in Kinnan. Should we do Vegas first?
Yeah, we'll do Vegas first, and go ahead and talk through like what did you see, what was it like? Give us kind of a breakdown.
I'll talk a little bit about my time leading up to Vegas just for a second here. I was in a weird mindset. I'd been dating a girl for a couple months, and some shit happened right before Vegas where I decided to end that relationship. So that was a little frustrating to deal with, like literally right before, like the night before I had to leave. So that was where I was at going into Vegas, and ended up being kind of a good thing. Get that weight off the shoulders, clear the mind a little bit. I was ready to fucking kill. And I've figured out, I think I do my best magic when something annoying or frustrating has happened in my life. My first ever top four back in 23 was 2 days after me and Marina officially broke up, the girl I was with for like 3 years before that. My first tournament win on Talion was the day I was dealing with all the car shit. Like, every time that something really frustrating happens right before I gotta go play some Magic, I just fucking glaze over, zone the fuck in, and I have mindset of a champion, A game ready to kill. And I walked into Vegas talking shit for 3 straight days, saying I was going to go fucking undefeated, and almost did and backed pretty much everything I set up, which felt really good to do. Knew I was playing Kinnan. There was no questions here. There wasn't any debate right before the tournament. I was playing Kinnan from the start. I've been playing Kinnan all month. It's never felt better. It feels unbelievable right now in the current situation of the meta and how I'm playing with it. I love the deck so much. Obviously, leading up to Vegas, I had 4 straight small event wins on it, so I was feeling ready to go. And yeah, I mean, jumping right in. I mean, player meeting. I'm sitting down and I'm telling people, like, the only person I want to dodge in Swiss is Zane. I really just don't want to see Zane in Swiss. Round 1 fires, and I'm on the play, and Zane is in second seat. And I was like, okay, cool. And this game didn't really have much substance to it. I kept a hand that was literally Landfish Pass, and Zane in second seat just sent a turn 1 wheel. And that wheel resulted in really bad hands for the other 2 players, a disgustingly gas hand for me, and a mid hand for Zane that I had the right counterspell for. That was really all there was to that game. I was able to win it very comfortably, very confidently. Zane get-pro'd my hand, said that we were fucked, but no one could do anything about it. So it didn't matter. Didn't matter at all. And round 2 was also like kind of similar. Zane was on just for a second. Zane was on Rogsai? Yes. We had the whole Rogsai squad there.
And Gitaxian probe.
Yes, he was on Get Probe for this one. Which I was surprised by. I got Get Probed multiple times. Ori, also on Rogsai, who won the event, Get Probed me in the finals before he won. So they're back on Get Probe, I guess, is a common thing for the Rogsai squad right now.
Interesting.
And yeah, my round 2, very, very similar to my round 1. It was another game where, like, I was in a good position. I set myself up nicely, but then someone sent a wheel and I got the best wheel. And that's sometimes how those games are going to go. So round 1 and 1-2, I went 2-0, went undefeated, but it wasn't games that I really felt like, oh, I played incredibly and I outplayed everybody. It was just like I got the best wheel for both of those. Round three was a much more interesting game. Round 3, we had Blue Farm. We had a really nice lady I met on Azeka. She was on Azeka Stacks, which was an interesting deck to be against. Myself on Kinnan in third seat, and then we had Thada Adele, same guy who top 16'd. I think it was Silicon Dynasty 2 on Thada Adele, rocking that deck there again. So obviously he's very comfortable with it and knows it very, very well. Game ended up resulting where I tried to resolve a Tezzeret earlier, clearly saying I wasn't going to win with it. And, they countered the Tezzeret. They said, fuck that. I was like, okay, that's fine. So Tezzeret's in the graveyard, importantly, for the conversation that's going to occur. And then Blue Farm was able to get to a position that they could send an Adnaz. And that Adnaz Sadnazed and resulted in them murdering themselves. Great. So then quickly, I set up a game state where Thada Adele has a 1-ring. And what I did was I cloned the 1-ring with a Metamorph and played a Seedborn. Oh. And then they said, cool, untapped, and played a clone to copy my Seedborn.
Odd.
So then
that game's a nightmare.
Yeah. So we both had 1-ring Seedborns, and this was like, I think it went to Blue Farm's turn when this happened, and then we went to the lady on Azeka's turn, and my hand at this point, after I drawn the cards there, doesn't have shit in it. It's like March of Swirling Mist, Nezahal, and a few lands. That's like all I have going for me, not much. And then, she ends up spinning into something really bad. It was Nicol Bolas Dragon God, the 8-mana Planeswalker. And I was like, okay, that's rough. And then she tried to play an Ugin. And he was like, I'm going to untap my 1-ring here and draw some cards. Thought I'd player cast Born, didn't untap his 1-ring. It was very clear that you cannot cast a Twiddle spell, or I need to try find a way to interact with you. But so he was like, I don't have a Twiddle spell right now. I'm going to cast this Born. This is with the goal of finding something. And he actually hit a counterspell for Ugin. So we dealt with the Ugin. And then I'm looking at the board state. And it's like, okay, my 1-ring is going to untap and draw me 5 cards. Their 1-ring is going to untap and draw them 4 cards. I think they were 1 behind me, or they might have been ahead of me, honestly, because they had the 1-ring earlier than I did. Somewhere close to equal, they were going to draw 5-6 cards off it as well. And so I decided, I was like, okay, I don't actually have a win here, but I need to create a window, and right now is the one moment I feel like there is no interaction. So I March of Swirling Misted their Seedborn. So they wouldn't have their Seedborn. I think I hit Thought Idol as well, so that it wouldn't be like didn't have a Fierce or anything like that. Yep. So I was like, okay, I don't have shit here, but I just want to see what happens. So I create my window. They don't have anything for it, which kind of confirmed me they didn't have any counter magic, because they would have hit that. Untap on my turn, tap the 1-ring, draw a bunch of cards, and very importantly, Colossal Sky Turtle, which lets me Sky Turtle back my Tezzeret, Play Tezzeret, get Basalt, play Treasure Vault from hand, make infinite treasures. Very importantly, there is a Grafdigger's Cage on Thought Adele's board, which means I can't spin right now, so I can't actually win immediately. So what I did is I passed the turn with infinite treasures, and I said, cool, on your upkeep, because I untapped with my Seedborn, I'm going to explain a really complicated 5x+1 line to you. And I'm going to put a specific card within the top 5 cards of my library, and I'm going to draw it with my One Ring, and then I'm going to kill you at instant speed.
What was the card? I mean,
Beseiju.
Okay, yeah.
So it was actually very easy. Normally I have to do like a multiple loop thing to get the card to be the top card in my library or within a certain set of the top cards in my library. Because my One Ring was going to tap for 6 cards, I didn't have to like loop my library multiple times to find it. It's literally just find the card, make sure it's then in the top activation. So I only have to do a singular loop because that guarantees it's within the top 5 cards in my library because I counted all my cards. I had 60 cards in library. So it's find Beseiju, put that stack of 5 cards, whichever one it is in, to the top 5, and then I'm guaranteed to draw it when I tap my One Ring for 6.
How were you controlling what cards were on the top of your library, and how are you doing that?
So let's put it this way. I activate. So I had 60 cards in my library. That's 12 cannon activations to go through my entire deck, right? So let's say that Beseiju happened to be in.
I see, because you can look at the top cards. You just don't play them.
I can't put a creature into play.
Right. So you do it, and they just go to the bottom, and then you do that until you find the card that you need.
Yes.
Right. Then you activate the One Ring to draw the card, which is Beseiju. You blow up the Grafdigger's Cage, and then you're off to the races.
Win an instant speed.
Got it.
Yeah. So in that situation, it's if Beseiju, because it was a Grafdigger's Cage and I couldn't adjust cards, if it was the 8th activation down, I put that activation to the bottom of my library. I activate Kinnan 11 times, making the bottom activation, which would have the Beseiju, now the top pile of my library, draw it with the One Ring. In scenarios where there isn't a Grafdigger's Cage and it's like my Thrasios is exiled to a Force of Will or something when I had to pitch it, then what I have to do is control the number of cards in my library with Kinnan activations and get it to a multiple of 5+1. That's why I call it the 5x+1 line, where like if I have 79 cards in library, I will activate taking out 3 creatures, get it to 76 cards in library, and then if it's like I need Finale to win the game, I'm able to activate Kinnan in a way to guarantee Finale is the top specific card in my library, then do something like draw for turn, Waterlogged Grove Crack, One Ring activation, whatever, get Finale, win the game.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that's the normal line. This one was a little bit easier. But so I explained it to them, and they were like, okay, I get One Ring tap to try and find Otawara here is my only out on top of your One Ring activation. They activated, didn't hit it, and said GG's.
Got it.
So that was pretty simple. So went 3-0. I was in first place in the event. Felt fantastic. Was killing it. Mindset of a champion. I was good to go. Still talking shit. Round 4 ended up being an interesting game. It was Bruce Thras, Timna Dargo, Uriah on Stella, and myself in 4th seat. And Uriah ended up mulling to 4. So he was in a pretty rough spot this game. It ended up being that, Bruce Thras on the play had their fish. Timna Dargo was able to get out Timna really quickly. We were kind of fish packing for a little bit, but the combination of the fish and the Timna value, like me and Uriah were really, really behind. And I got to a position on like whatever it was, turn 3 maybe, where I hard cast a Consecrated Sphinx. And the Bruce Thras player and the Timna Dargo player didn't have shit for it. And Uriah cast a Consider, and the top card of his library happened to be Force of Will. And he's looking at his situation, and he's like, I'm fucked here, either way. So he said, he revealed the Force of Will and said, I would like to propose a draw. Because if I counter this Con Sphinx, we both lose to you two, guaranteed. But if I don't counter this Con Sphinx, you're not beating him. So I would just like to, yeah, we took it. Because I was like, I'm kind of stuck there, right? Because my Con Sphinx gets countered, I'm fucked. I was hoping one of them would say no, because then he'd let my Con Sphinx go. That's my best out in that situation. But they both snap agreed to the draw, so I was like, cool, draw, whatever. Which was upsetting, because I was really committed to trying to go 5-0 on day 1, and that ruined that streak, and that's just is what it is. And then my round 5 game was really, really interesting. God, I don't even remember who the 4th player was, but the 3 people that were really important in this game was another guy named Max on Urza, who I was a big fan of. I really liked his playstyle. He was a cool guy. Freedom Waffle on Blue Farm, and myself on Kinnan. I was pretty far behind in this game as well. I mulled to 4, where my starting hand was 3 lands and a Scrap Gorger, was what I kept.
Yikes, dude.
Ended up finding the Rhystic Study like 4 turns in, which allowed me to draw a large hand of cards. And what was really interesting about this game is my first 3 draws in this game were Fierce Guardianship, Beseiju, Pongify. Like, I was only drawing interaction, but passing on everything. Like, absolutely refusing to interact with anything. I'm just sitting back. I'm like, I need to wait for win attempts here. I cannot preemptively interact with shit. So I'm just chilling, hanging out, letting Urza and Waffle battle it out a little bit. And the 4th deck was Sisay. Yes, the 4th deck was Sisay. And very importantly, going into Waffle's turn that would be the final turn of this game, Sisay had a Sisay activation held up that we discussed his ability to go get Urtai to deal with something very important here. And on the end step before Waffle's turn, Waffle casts Intuition targeting Urza, and he's like, hey, I'm just getting a Swords for Sisay. I'll get 2 lands. Just give me the Swords to interact with Sisay. And I'm immediately saying, like, he's trying to get rid of the ability to get Urtai here. Like, that's the one thing he can't beat right now. You know, so like, just be aware that's probably what is happening here. And Waffle's like, no, I don't think I can push. And then, you know, gets given the Swords. Swords is the Sisay, goes to his turn, and then untaps, draws a card, swings with Crom, draws another card, says those 2 cards were Grand Abolisher and a counterspell. So then he was like, okay, now I think I can push. Puts Grand Abolisher on the stack. And Grand Abolisher in the stack obviously starts a fight between him and Urza, where I'm just sitting back and drawing cards for the first few spells. Waffle is really intensely prying Urza for information, saying like, hey, we don't have to fight over this if you can show me enough that you can beat what I have. He's just trying to find out if he has enough to push through or what. And they end up talking for a few minutes and interacting a little bit while I'm drawing some cards. And you know, Urza shows a little bit. He shows like a Hullbreaker and a Dramatic Reversal, and then Waffle in his brain was like, I can beat that though. So they started pushing a little bit more. Meanwhile, in my hand at this point, I'm looking at, very importantly, Sink into Stupor, which is a card that hits both Grand Abolisher and Hullbreaker Horror. And I'm just keeping my fucking mouth shut and sitting back. And then finally, Urza shows his hand of like a bunch of free counter magic and is like, do you really want to do this right now? And Waffle's like, maybe, I'm not sure. And I was just like, do you guys want to draw? Cause I don't think I'm winning this game at this point, because if Waffle doesn't push, I don't draw the cards on Ristic. And then I don't think it ends up being a draw anyway, and like how much time we had left and how long everything was going to take. So I was just like, fuck it, can we draw this game? And everyone immediately agreed to the draw. And I was like, okay, easy peasy. So that was round 5. That was day 1. Finished the day at 3-0-2, tied with Ori for first place in the event. Felt really good. Got all-you-can-eat sushi for my 2nd night in a row. And that was, oh no, that was Thursday, Friday was all-you-can-eat sushi, back to back. Saturday night, ended up doing the thing where I stayed up really, really late, doing Jaeger bombs again. And then went to the casino and did a bunch of gambling and won some money on blackjack, which always feels great. And then we went into day 2. Day 2, round 1, so round 6, round 1 of day 2. Really stacked pod. really hot pod. We had Jacob on Kalia on the play. We had a player on Winota going 2nd, myself on Kinnan going 3rd, and then Ori going 4th on Rogsai. And I was like, this is very scary. So I look at Winota and I say, please get down a Rule of Law effect. Please get down a Rule of Law effect. And they came through with a turn 1 Deafening Silence, which did really hinder me, because I ended up keeping a hand that was just like Basalt Crop Rotation. And I was like, we're gonna trust this here and see what happens, because I'm not really beating double turbo unless Winota helps me out a lot anyway. The Deafening Silence put me in a weird place because I couldn't properly develop either, but I also didn't have a great hand that was just 1 land and a couple of dorks for my mana production. Ended up working out though, where like everyone was very slowly progressed. Winota didn't go too fast. Ori ended up having a Deadly Rollick for Winota when Winota came down the first time to slow it down a little bit. And then we were in a position that Jacob was very, very far ahead and looking very, very scary. And he had a ton of cards, a bunch of mana. And I look at Ori and I'm like, here's what I would like to do. And I pass him face down a Wandering Archaic, which I know is a good stacks piece against Jacob. And then I pass him a 2nd card and I say, this is my only way to do this. And it is Basalt Monolith. And so he goes, okay. And I say, I will not be winning this turn. And he goes, okay. And so I play Basalt Monolith. It resolves. I make Infinite Colorless. I play a Wandering Archaic. And then I pass the turn with just an Elf up for mana. And very importantly here, there's a Deafening Silence. On Ori's turn, he untaps and he plays a Praetor's Grasp, unable to pay for Wandering Archaic, targeting Jacob. And I know he's getting Dockside, and I'm a little worried about what that much mana presents him here. So my copy of Praetor's Grasp chooses to also target Jacob and take the Dockside. Yeah. Which I did not need, but I was just like, I don't want you to have this right now. I was like, unless you could show me some specific interaction that's for, which he did. He ended up revealing an Otawara to me, which was perfect to know about, because now I know he doesn't have the mana for that Otawara, which is one of the few cards that could potentially fuck up this win attempt. But also, very importantly, he has casted on creature spell this turn. There is a Deafening Silence.
He's done.
We go to the end step of that turn. And in my brain, I'm just like, please, Jacob, play a spell. Please cast a Vampiric Tutor. Do something, my guy. Because he has so many cards in hand. And he taps his mana, and he casts a Cabal Ritual. With what I find out later was the plan of playing both Bowmasters and Opposition Agent to just get those down. But Cabal Ritual on the stack, you don't even get to make the mana. I say, I would like to respond. I would like to tap this Basalt for Infinite Colorless, and then I would like to tap this Elf and Crop Rotation. This gets me Treasure Vault here, which I crack for Infinite Treasures. And then they're like, okay, but there's a Deafening Silence. And I'm like, dude, absolutely no problem. Can we assume I have infinite? And they made me play this out, which was fun. I like when people make me play shit out, because it's fun to play shit out. And the fact that they wanted to play shit out meant they had some interactions. I was like, cool, let's fight. That sounds like a blast. So I'm like, can I pick up my deck? I have infinite gain activations. Can I put my creatures into play? And they go, sure. So, Void Winnower, Chimera, Hullbreaker, Tidespout, Spellskite, Glenelendra, Clone of Spellskite, Clone of Glenelendra, all those things on the battlefield immediately, including Thrasios. I already have infinite mana, and now there's Thrasios. And then I'm already looking at Endurance in my hand, so I got a spell for Hullbreaker to bounce the Deafening Silence. And I showed them that. I was like, are we good? And they were like, are you bouncing it? And I was like, well, not yet. I'll keep doing stuff on top of this. Activate Thrasios a bunch of times, draw the majority of my deck, including pretty much every counterspell in my deck, and then I hit one more counterspell, and I was like, okay, let's fight. And no, they probably scooped it up. They were like, no, we're good. So I was like, okay, cool. But I got props on that line. The instant speed Crop Rot, just waiting for both of them to cast a spell, was the right window and the right time, and felt really, really good to win that pod. That was a pod I respect a lot, full of people I respect a lot. And then going into round 7, the final round of Swiss, I'm still number 1 in seeding against another guy with an equivalent amount of wins that I have, and it was Malcolm Vile Smasher on the play. Myself going second, and then 3rd and 4th seed weren't really super relevant here. Malcolm Vile just had the schnutz, like the absolute gas hand, where, I mean, they had turn 1 Malcolm into turn 2 One Ring, into turn 3 triple protected win. Which, what are you gonna do? So I was like, okay, that's my first L of the tournament so far. Which brings me into, sorry, would you like to?
Yeah, so before you go into post Swiss, just, in terms of feel, like what were there any decks that were more prevalent with MH3 out now? Like, you heard about Nadu, but like if you look at the top 16, there were only a couple of them. Like,
yeah, which they did okay. Like the Nadu decks did decently. I know Pigeon, my buddy, who literally borrowed my Nadu altar and still has it and needs to give it back. Fuck it, he's a Colorado native. It's fine. He's one of the people I flew out with. He did really well to start the event. Like he was looking fantastic to start the event. And then just kind of fizzled out there and couldn't get it going again. And then the other Nadu pilot ended up getting a couple of wins and doing slightly better, I think, overall in the standings. But what I can't say is I really didn't see any MH3 cards. Like I'm looking through all of my games mentally, and I don't think I actually saw a single MH3 card. Like I know that like Jacob has Chthonian Nightmare in his deck, right? Like I know they were in people's decks to some extent, but I just didn't see them. And that was interesting because I'm like actually looking through my games and I'm wondering if a single MH3 card was put on the stack in any of my games. I think I saw the MDFC lands be played as lands a couple times.
And you saw Sink of the Stupor, which ended up not being relevant because
I didn't cast it.
It was a draw, but it would have been good.
If we fought, it would have been very good. Yes.
Okay.
It probably would have had to hit Grand Abolisher, I imagine. But yeah, the fact that I had it in my hand, looking at two people talking about a Grand Abolisher and a Hellbreaker Horror felt good. I enjoyed that a lot when I was looking at it in my hand. But yeah, I really didn't see MH3 cards. It just didn't happen. So I can't give too much real perspective on it because they just weren't there in my games. Didn't come up too much. Which I played against an absolute shitload of Blue Farm and Rogsai, which aren't really the decks that are playing MH3 cards. I know Rogsai is playing Necrodominance and Flare of Duplication. I've heard wonderful things about Flare of Duplication. Like I know Ori was talking about one of his favorite plays was he casted Jeska's Will and it got spell pierced and he Flare of Duplication sacked his Rog, copied the Jeska's Will, used the mana from the other Jeska's Will, to pay for the Spell Pierce to make the first one resolve. So we got 2 Jeska's Wills. Like Flare is over.
Flare's really good. I used to. Yeah. I literally played it today. I was playing Rockside today, and I put an Adnaz on the stack, and someone Mindbreak trapped the Adnaz, and I responded by copying my Adnaz.
Yeah,
and then the best thing about it at that point was I could use it as a cantrip if I needed to. So I resolve my Adnaz, get a bunch of cards, and then I could like vamp tutor, put a card on top of my library, counter the Mindbreak trap, and then still draw that card using the Adnaz that I copied. Yeah. Like, there's just so many things you could do with it. It's crazy.
No, like Flare of Duplication
really good.
is very good. That card has already proven itself in full.
And by the way, I didn't even sacrifice Rog. I sacrificed the Dockside, which is even better. Like, the card's crazy good. Crazy good.
Yeah. No, Flare of Duplication's a real one for sure. I'm trying to think. Like, I just didn't see them. So they weren't really super relevant there, for me anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, on to semifinals. Yep.
My top 16 pod was terrifying. It was a really, really good pod. It was myself on the play on Kinnan, into Jacob on Kalia going second, into Uriah on Stella going third, into Matt Bach, really well-known Blue Farm player out west, and Blue Farm going fourth. And that is a pod I was like, cool, A game. And I kept a hand that was just like, mana, Soul Ring, Felwar, Mental Misstep, Trust. Fucking Trust. And my turn 2 top deck was Mystic Remora. So I was like, perfect. Like, absolutely, beautifully perfect. Very importantly for this game, Matt mulled to 4. I know a lot of my games have one player mulling to 4. But so on like turn 3? I think I had like, I had Tezzeret and ready to go to just like attempt a win attempt. I had Tezzeret and Basalt. I was good to go for a win attempt here. You know, I didn't really put them on shit with the way Uriah had played, and Bad Dog's not on blue, and Matt went so low. So I played a Basalt. Basalt resolved. And then I play Basalt, and with Basalt on the stack, Matt on his mull to 4 with 1 land and a Felwar Stone and like 3 cards in hand, Swords to Plowshares Kinnan. And I'm like, okay, Mental Misstep. His second card, Flusterstorm. I did not play my land for turn yet, which I regretted at this time, because I could have paid for Fluster. And I had drawn a Simic Signet at this point. Or no, it was Jacob had a Bowmaster, so I hadn't drawn a card yet. And so I started looking at my situation. I was like, if I pay for Kinnan, I can't play Tezzeret anyway. So this folds. So I'm like, I need to draw here and then just recast Kinnan, I think is the better line. So I draw the card, Bowmaster trigger hits Kinnan, kills Kinnan. Card I drew was Simic Signet, which gives me the mana to make Tezzeret. I'm like, gas. So then I play my land, pay the 4 lands I have, because I couldn't pay for Fluster. That would have been the mana to pay for Fluster. Recast Kinnan, second to last card in Matt's hand on his fucking Moldifor, Mindbreak Trap.
Damn.
I'm like, fucking what? And I do have Force of Will in hand, but my only blue card is Tezzeret. Right. And I don't want to pitch it. And so I'm looking at my situation, and I'm like, okay, if I pitch this here, I can't do anything with this colorless mana. My only out there would be just Infinite Colorless, Simic Signet, hope to spin the Thrasios. I would rather hold up the Fluster, the Force of Will, trust in my fish to draw me a couple more cards, and be able to stop someone else's win attempt. So I let the Mindbreak Trap go, and I pass the turn a little bit sad. And Bad Dog immediately slams the Dockside, made 7 treasures, which he miscounted and was 1 short of the 8 he needed for the Razaketh that was in his hand. So he ends up passing the turn to Stella. Stella immediately Mystical Tutors, puts their Cerulean Wisps on top, casts a Felwar Stone from their hand, gets the Cerulean Whips, casts the Cerulean Whips, activates Stella. I drew 2 cards off this interaction, which were Swan Song and March of Swirling Mist, so I'm able to use Force of Will, pitching March of Swirling Mist, stop his win attempt, go to Matt's turn where he's got absolutely nothing in hand, passes the turn over to me, I untap, slam my Kinnan for 6 mana, say Infinite Colorless, play my stuff out, play my Tezzeret, and promptly win the game. With Swan Song Protection. I won my top 16 game, was the first person to win their top 16 game. All other 3 were still going, and all I said to people was, I said, please don't give me Rogsai in the finals, and please don't give me Waffle. And the first person to win their game after me was Surge on Rogsai. I'm like, okay. Next person to win their game is Ori on Rogsai. I'm like, fuck, you gotta be kidding me. And then we're watching Waffle's game. All of our games ended in a reasonable time, half hour, 45 minutes, nothing too crazy. Waffle's game, I go over and look at it. There are 3 Rhystic Studies on the battlefield. And the only deck that doesn't have the Rhystic Study is Mono Blue Teferi, the guy who won the like Time Twister tournament out in California.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is going to take hours. And it did. And I was looking at Waffle's hand as he's drawing a couple cards on this Rhystic Study with what ended up being like an hour and a half, multiple turns from Anthony with extra turn spells. And I'm looking at Waffle's hand, and even though he only has like 10 cards in hand at this time, 2 of those cards are Final Fortune and Born Upon a Wind. And he has a Lotho, so he is the only person generating more mana. So immediately I'm like, oh, Waffle's got this. I know the game is over. And he did a really beautiful job of painting Urza as the threat, where Urza was next up in turn order with like 30 cards in hand, and was just talking constantly about how he would refuse to use any interaction because he needs to survive Urza's turn and he needs to survive Malcolm Vile's turn, and they both have 30 cards in hand. He's like, I will be passing on everything if you pass to me. I know you guys have interaction. Like, I have to survive your guys' turns. Just played this perfect story like he was going to be last in turn rotation when he knew he wasn't going to be at any point during that. And so for multiple turns, they're painting Urza as the threat, and they're like hitting Urza's Urza and like bouncing his counterbalance and doing all of these things for like literally 2 hours. And then finally it gets to the end step before like Anthony's final turn, and what Waffle has been waiting for all along happened. Malcolm Vile casts Final Fortune. And he lets that resolve, and then he goes, cool, before your turn, my own Final Fortune. And they fight over that a little bit, but because Waffle was able to hold back the most of his counter magic, he obviously wins that battle, goes to his turn, and just untaps and wins the game, ultra protected with the largest hand out of anybody. Most of them drew the majority of their libraries. It was kind of fucking ridiculous. So then my finals pod, after saying I don't want Rogside and I don't want Waffle, was me into Rogside, into Waffle.
Yeah, Nightmare Pod.
Nightmare Pod. And we go into the finals game, and in my hand I'm like, just fucking give me something that stacks out the board quickly, or give me something that wins quickly. I don't want a mid-hand here. And I get my first 7, and it is a hand that has like Metamorph and Trophy Mage and a couple of Mana Dorks. Only 1 land, and I do the math, and it has a Dispel, and I'm like, okay, if I draw a singular land in my first... Oh, and it has a Mox Amber as well. And I like, if I draw a singular land in my first 3 turns, this is turn 3 protected win on the play against Rogside Blue Farm.
Turn 3 so too slow, dude. Turn 3 too slow against double Rogside. Way too slow. Way too slow. Way too slow.
But like, I'm not putting back a turn 3 protected win on the play in that pod. Like, there's just no way I don't keep that hand there. I take the odds on it. And yeah, I mean, Rogside 1 plays out mana. Rogside 2, fucking Phyrexian Tower, Mox Diamond, declares, I did not know this interaction, declares he is casting Jeska's Will with both modes with Commander, and then pays costs sacking Rog. That works, apparently. The judge was sitting at the table and confirmed it. I did not know that. So he got both modes onto Jeska's Will, even with his Rog sacrifice to the Phyrexian Tower. So he got his 7 red mana from Waffle keeping 7, and he got 3 cards. He had 3 cards left in hand at this time. Those 3 cards, the only one that matters was a Grinding Station, which he's able to play the Grinding Station, and then he has 1 black mana remaining from this Phyrexian Tower. Oh, because he got to Rite of Flame before as well. He went Phyrexian Tower, Mox Diamond, Rog, Rite of Flame, Jeska's Will. So he had 1 black floating, and his last relevant card in hand was Tainted Pact. And one of the other cards he flipped off Jeska's Will was Time Twister. So I was really hoping he was going to just go for the Time Twister and like wheel us and hopefully not lose here. But nope, he is able to hit, before he hits anything that would produce blue mana, which I think he would have considered and possibly taken if he'd hit like a blue Talisman or something, he hits Breach. So cast Underworld Breach, cast Grinding Station, sacrifice Mox Diamond, and ends up where he like doesn't have a colored Mana Rock in his yard to do other things yet. His last 2 cards in hand were both lands to pitch to Mox Diamond.
My God.
So like the number of things that had to go correctly for this turn 1 win off this YOLO'd fucking Jeska's Will. Yeah, I was a little frustrated after 2 days of grinding and feeling like I had just played perfectly the entire tournament and not done anything wrong, and I really thought this was going to be my one, and then got turn 1 by Rogside in the finals, which was very frustrating. And then everyone reveals their hand after the game, and Waffle had turn 2 win, Surge had turn 2 win, and Ori had turn 1 win. So it wasn't getting to me either fucking way, which was super frustrating.
I want to read a tweet to you, because this just 2 hours ago, Zane just tweeted this, and it's just hilarious. in the context of what we're talking about. He says, people treat turn 2 like a right when really it's a privilege.
Thanks, Max. I really appreciate your unrivaled support for my success.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. But, and sometimes that's the way it goes. And if you're going to lose to someone like that, the fact that it was Ori.
Yeah.
Ori's such a good dude.
Nice
like,
guy.
Congrats, Ori.
Yeah, all my personal interactions with Ori have been really positive. He's someone I really appreciate in the community. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's like an unbelievable final spot. If you look at it, which, hey, everyone wants to call this a high variance fucking format. The top 4 was numbers 3, 4, 7, and 8 on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and all names that we all know because, Yeah, 100%.
I mean, the entire top 16 was the usual suspects. There was not a single person that you're like, who is this guy? Like, it was, I knew of every single person there.
Yeah. And looking at the top 16, I mean, Ava made top 16. That's pretty interesting.
Dude, Rodrigo, I think it's Rodrigo or Rodriguez. I don't want to fuck up his name, but that might be wrong. But super nice guy.
Yeah,
super,
Rodrigo.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, I keep seeing unknown commander, so I don't know who Max Adelman is. That the other Urza player?
That was the other Urza player. Yeah, which
okay.
I met him earlier in the event. So I actually did get. I'll show this on camera real quick. Let me pull up my Kindle deck here. I got one really special thing in Vegas. One really special thing. Something that you could say makes my Kindle deck complete. So for those who know, my Kindle deck is foiled out. And I've had to make some compromises lately. Foil Cradle I'm not ready for, but I got this really sweet Altered Cradle that I've told people about a couple of weeks ago. The one card I was missing was a special foil. It's very, very expensive. And someone came up to me who was a dealer of cards with this card at an unbelievable price that when I asked people if I should get it, pretty much said I was a fucking idiot if I didn't. Before day 1 of the tournament on Friday, I was able to purchase a foil Grim Monolith.
Wow. Okay.
And Kinnan is now complete. It has the tiniest bit of damage, like a crease section right there. So I got this at the stupid lowest price I've ever seen one of these sold for. And I am very, very happy that my Kinnan deck feels complete. And it's a really cool feeling to have almost like, I'm missing the cradle, but the cradle, it's a good cradle. And it's got a cool cradle with a story. And yeah, it was really nice going into this event after, grinding Kinnan for over a year now and feeling like I was at the top of my game and feeling like it was the first event that I'd ever gone into where Kinnan felt really complete. Because foiling out this deck, while it doesn't matter to everybody, was something that has felt really, really important to me. And I'm genuinely very happy that this deck is at this place, and it's done so much for me, and I'm really happy to do this for it.
Nice. Cool. So that was it. That was your Las Vegas experience. Well, do you know what everyone did right after the tournament? What?
Every single grinder there went to Darkside Games and played a tournament.
Oh, I love that place. I've been there a couple times.
Yeah. Every single one of us went there for the 5 p.m. CEDH event.
Yeah, I saw people talking about that. Yeah. Who won that one?
It was only 3 rounds, no top 4. I borrowed some guy's Roxai list and just played Roxai.
Yeah.
No, it was fun.
Okay. Yeah, cool, man. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, very nice. And then after that, or not after that, at the same time as that, there was the Optic Titans going on, which it's kind of cool from my perspective because last week I'm doing a podcast with you and Gold Sabretooth, and we're sitting here, shooting the shit and talking through MH3. And then the following weekend, the 2 guys I was doing the podcast with are both in top 4s in major events at the same time. Tim made top 4 on his Nadu list. And spoiler alert, he was not the only one. There were 3 Nadus in top 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And and the 4th deck was Tivit, which is interesting because I think that's where the meta is shifting a little bit right now because it's accelerating. We're seeing more Rogsai, more Turbo, and not just the Cabal guys. The Cabal guys are on Rogsai as always, but I'm seeing a lot of other people start to pick that deck up as well because of how well it's done in the hands of the Cabal. So, we're going to see a lot more Rogsai. And it just so happens that I think Tivit actually has a pretty solid matchup against Rogsai with, if you go a little bit more stacks heavy. So Blind Obediences, Grafdigger's Cage, if you're playing Rest in Peace. All of those are pretty impactful against Rogsai specifically. So it makes sense that Tivit would become a little bit better in the current meta. And then the other side of it is we're going to see a lot more Nadu. We're going to, you didn't see it in your tournament, but I think we're going to see more and more Nadu in the next, I say 2 months, before it
Max,
calms down a little bit. Yeah.
Hypothetically, what's like the best card ever against Nadu? What card would just like completely dunks on everything they want to accomplish?
Strict Serenade?
No, it's this crazy old enchantment named Frozen Ether that I've been wanting us to test and tally.
Did you see I was talking about it the other day?
I did.
So
you
saw that, right? You saw that, right? Yeah.
If it was 3 mana, oh god, if it was 3 mana and I could get it down on turn 1.
Yeah, I think Frozen Aether could be good. It's just a question of whether it's fast enough because it might be too late by the time you get it out. Yeah. But it's worth testing. But if that's where the meta's shifting, we're going to see more Turbo. We're going to see more Nadu. So going into like the big tournaments coming at the end of the month, Cowtown Showdown, like over 250 players. I think we're going to see 4 decks and specifically, actually 5. Let's say 5. I think we're going to see a lot of Rogsai. I think we're going to see Blue Farm as always. I think we're going to see Magda, right? I think we're going to see Sisay. I think we're going to see Nadu.
You don't think there's going to be a lot of Kinnons?
I do not think there's going to be a lot of Kinnon. I think there's going to be at least one.
Yeah, I'm playing Kinnon 100%. I love Kinnon right now, dude. I'm having some of the most fun I've ever had on Kinnon.
Yeah,
which is wild to think about. But I'm loving this deck more and more and more.
Yeah, so I think that's the shift, and I think I keep thinking about like how do I want to build my decks right now, and what do you need to do? I think you need more board wipes. I think we're going to see more board wipes in general. I think that's an effective strategy. I think Strict Serenade is going to be a stout card, dude. I'm telling you, because it answers everything everyone's looking to do except for Rogsai, right? It still hits Dockside, so it's still a relevant card.
I'm not sold on Strix, bro.
I know, but you will be. Don't worry. Yeah. So
no, I could definitely see the meta turning that way. I mean, I think it definitely is, as we predicted for Modern Horizons 3. It's going to lean a little bit more proactive. I think that's a very reasonable assumption for what's coming.
Yeah, although like I said, the top 4 of Top Deck Titans was the opposite of that. It was not proactive at all. That pod, that finals pod was hell. I don't know if other people watched it, but it was like 2.5-3 hours of just a slog fest. Because the Nadu decks were stopping each other, Tivit was stopping them. There were Talions, there were clones of Talions. It was just miserable, absolutely miserable. And Nadu has the common problem that Talion can have, which is it just struggles to close the game. In a lot of instances, it draws.
Well, it needs to assemble one of its like semi-infinite or finitely infinite combos. Like if you end up with a Shuko and a Scoot Swarm, like you're winning. You know what I mean? But if you don't assemble that kind of board state, it's going to be difficult.
Right, but I think the problem is in this case you had 3 Nadus, so they understand what each other's trying to do, so they're able to proactively try to deal with that stuff before it hits the ground. And that worked, and kept them off the board. It was interesting because Baneslayer, at one point, he casted Eldritch Evolution, and I'm like, this is game. He'll go get Unctus, he's going to go off. And then instead he got a Metamorph to clone Italian. Yeah. So it was,
Interesting. Yeah. Playing scared a little bit.
A little bit. I was totally shocked when he did that. I thought that was GG's, and then it wasn't. So
yeah, how do you not just go get like Displacer, get in there and win the game?
Yeah, it was bizarre to me. Yeah, you get Unctus and you draw 48 cards and move on. That's I think that's the shifting meta right now. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to Cowtown. It's gonna be a good time. I'm not doing anything else between now and then. How about you? You doing anything? Any other tournaments?
Cowtown's doing the big one. I mean, I have my local events on Saturdays if I want to go to them. That's an option. Big one I'm also excited for. It's not before Cowtown, it's after. But Snowy Summit, I do want to shout out again. It's going to be happening here in Denver, Colorado on July 13th. It's going to be a super awesome 5K. A lot of big names are going to be there. And it's still it's the only tournament I've ever seen that is catering food, which is super cool. I know I think today is the last day for buying room blocks for it. But either way, I mean, there's lots of options here in Denver. Lots of great people to see. And it's an awesome town. You should come check out.
Yeah, nice. I'll be out of town, but that's all right. I'll yeah, forward to you winning the whole damn thing. Go get it done.
I'm gonna fucking try.
Because you won't. Unfortunately, you won't be able to win Cowtown because I'm gonna win Cowtown. But
you say that. Well, I look forward to the day that you place better than me in a tournament. We'll get there, Max. We'll get there one day together.
Yeah.
If you're gonna talk shit, you just have to know that I'm gonna talk shit back. At this point, you should expect this.
I expect it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I still haven't decided when I'm even gonna play at Cowtown, so I gotta figure that out.
Just play Kinnan. Let me train you.
I have 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks to learn Kinnan. That's not enough time.
It'd be great.
I gotta breathe the deck that I play. If I can't breathe the deck, I'm not gonna play the deck.
Florian.
Oh, I could breathe Florian.
Play Florian.
No.
Please play Florian.
It's not in a good place in that tournament. It's not going to be. No.
How is it not going to be in a good place?
Because it's not as fast as Roxai.
So it's great. Florian's awesome. I think if you do Florian, you top 16.
I'm going to top 16 anyway. I'm not looking at the top 16. I'm looking to win the tournament.
Are you going to play Italian again?
It's possible. Okay.
Tim Najeska?
It's possible.
Do you breathe Tim Najeska?
I think I'm getting to that point.
Do you breathe Italian?
Definitely.
Okay, well, there you go. I think it definitely is a lot better than I'm getting to that point.
That's fair.
You know,
the other option is I might play Roxai.
You don't breathe Roxai.
I breathe half of Roxai because half of Roxai is Florian.
Yeah.
A lot of the same lines. You know?
Yeah, but there's something so special about putting a Citadel into play. That's what I really look for.
Yeah, but I'm not even playing Citadel in my other decks. Like only in Florian.
Yeah, I know. You're saying you breathe Florian. You don't breathe Roxai. Roxai is very different lines. Like I've played Roxai and I've played Ob and I've played all these things. Like Roxai is a very, very different deck than Florian or Ob or any of that kind of stuff. You know, it's so much more card advantage and interaction focused at the same time while still being heavily proactive.
Yeah. Mostly. But similar feel to it. I feel like I could play that deck pretty well. I think in 2 weeks I could get up to speed on that and go.
Don't become a Roxai junkie, Jesus Christ!
I don't know what I'm doing, dude. I haven't decided.
I
haven't decided. But yeah, we'll see.
Tell us in the comments below what you think Max P should play for Cowtown. I vote Florian. I think that'd be great if you brought back Florian.
Yeah,
that's your deck, bro. That's your deck. Go top 16 a 200 person something event with it.
That would be fun.
That'd be sick. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Speaking of winning, we should mention who won the giveaway.
We should mention who won the giveaway. Would you like to do it, or would you like me to do it?
No, you do it. You go ahead. You found the person. You randomized and picked them.
I didn't find. I randomized. Yeah, through random selection, and you can put this comment on the screen. The winner of the giveaway, please contact us through Discord or something, is at Abyssal Voyager, who said, "Congrats on 2,000, guys. You guys provide awesome content. Keep it up. Easily best moment was just listening to the recap of the Florian/Ob Top 4 event. It was super cool to you both make it on an event Max P was skeptical of playing until you talked him into it." And let me tell you, that phone call that I had with Holly to get that child card and get Max P playing in that event was one for the books.
That was a hell of an event, though, dude. That was so much fun.
That was a great one. I'm very proud of that. I recently rewatched a couple of things from our show, over the last week. I've randomly turned them on a couple times. I rewatched part of our Ob Florian recap because it was super, super cool. And I found the old Chaos stream where I did my post game interview of my first tournament win. That one always makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Thank the Academy speech.
Yeah. So congrats, dude, Abyssal Voyager, for winning. We're gonna put our little package together and get it out to you. Hope you like it, and you get it. Tweet at us or comment or do something to show that
find us
what
in
you got.
Some way. Yeah,
because it should be interesting. I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it. So with that, I got nothing else to talk about. We're chilling. I'll give a quick weight loss update. I'm down 16 pounds right now. Over the last 3 weeks, which is pretty solid. I'm doing well. My clothes fit better. I accidentally put on a suit jacket last weekend to wear to a family thing that hadn't fit me in a while, and it fit perfectly, and I didn't even notice it was that jacket until after. So
fuck yeah.
I'll take that as a win. Yeah. So things are good. So with that, want to take us out, man?
Yeah. Should I grab Suki?
The mascot. Colors of
I
like
Suki being with me. Especially Suki had a rough weekend while I was gone. She stayed at my friends and she got into their puppy's puppy food and ate 11 pounds of it and then had diarrhea for a few days. So she wasn't feeling too good. And then yesterday when we were there, I slept over and slept on their couch. We stayed up very late. And she woke up, and in the morning, she tried to come give me kisses, and their dog jumped in front of her to try and give me kisses, and they ended up getting into a little fight where Suki got a cut. So she's a little rough right now. So I want to give her all the support and love.
Aww.
She's my little angel, my princess. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Colors of Crutch podcast. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Wounded Satellite. I'm joined, as always, by my beautiful baby Suki and the greatest co-host the world has ever seen, Max P, the Florian guy. If you guys enjoy our content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to support us even more, you can sign up for our Patreon, link in the description below. If you want to join the conversation outside of YouTube, please join our Discord. You can find a link to that also in the description below. And I offer CEDH coaching. If that's something you're interested in, please contact me on Discord as Wounded Satellite. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you again next time.